Hello, and welcome to Mish Mayhem,
Mish Mayhem.
the podcast where we take the schoolyard conversation of, hey, which one of these characters would win in a fight, and we talk about it on a podcast.
Well, this is.
It is indeed, which is good because it means it's more fun than doing an English GCSE.
Yeah, or indeed. Actually, I don't know. Like, I'm not saying an English GCSE is super fun to do unless you like English. But I was just about to say, or writing an essay about which one of these fictional characters would win. And then I thought, if in school I'd been given the essay, which one of these two characters would win a fight, I would have dug the shit out of that essay.
I mean, for an essay, that would be very good, yes. I mean, it would still ultimately have the fact it is an essay, but...
Yeah, but I mean, it would just be like, oh, this person, because XYZ Dragon Cannon card would be excellent.
It would.
For an essay, a GCSE.
Yes. So, I'm Chris.
And I'm Wade. Or Matt.
Yes. And or Matt.
Just two names today.
Yeah.
Two name Tuesday, even though it's a Monday.
Before we get really into things, I thought it'd be fun to have a quick talk about what we did on Saturday.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I did tweet about it. So,
tweet.
anyone following our Twitter would have at least some idea of what's been going on. And I know, to be fair, if you've been listening to Unparliamentary Language, they've mentioned it a couple of times. But on Saturday, we did a crossover episode with our friends at Unparliamentary Language, which are a politics podcast also on the TinkerTailorSoldierSponge.com.
The TTTS network, Umbrella Network. Not to be confused with Umbrella Corporation. That's a very different thing.
Is a very different thing. We haven't had any Resident Evil characters yet. Maybe sometime soon.
The liquor. It's not how a liquor sounds.
No. But yeah, we did a crossover with them where we gave them fictional characters and got them to do a political debate on their behalf.
It was entertaining and
silly.
Yeah, but in a good way.
Yeah, and also strangely informative and educational. It had a very good blend of our silliness and their intelligence.
Because let's be honest, neither of us are particularly up on our politics.
No. Or, at least in my case, anything clever.
That's not true. You know how to...
yeah, exactly.
It's funny because I was gonna think of something and then I didn't. I got caught in the joke.
Chris Brain hurty.
Chris Brain. But in light of them having a crossover episode, we're also having one. There will be a twofer, a double switch, the old wife swap.
Because this episode we recorded on Saturday, I'm not entirely sure when it will be out. I believe next week or the week after, but it will be up on their channel. And we are hoping to record another crossover episode soon that will be on our channel.
In that episode, they are going to present us with two real-life politicians. I don't know how much information we're going to get beforehand. And then we're going to do some impromptu research on them, and we're going to fight them to the death in real life.
Yeah, much like we would with our characters.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But let's be honest, though, with all the... I mean, I'm not going to be slanderous enough to say lies, but let's say mistruths that a lot of politicians give out. They are almost fictional characters, so it's not that much different from what we do normally.
There's real Jeremy Corbyn, and then there's political Jeremy Corbyn.
Right.
For the record, Jeremy Corbyn is just the first name that came to my head. I don't have any real preferences about Mr. JC either way.
That's fair. Good disclaimer.
I feel he should be called Mr. JC though. That would definitely big up his street cred, which we all know politicians are lacking.
Yes. Yeah. Do you think to really beef up his street cred, he should try and be like a early 2010s rapper and be the lethal JC?
Oh, the lethal JC! I'm throwing out my flyers of my whatever we call it, the thing that begins with C. Manifesto. I'm aware that doesn't begin with C, but I couldn't remember the words.
Anyway, so that's what we did Saturday. I just thought that'd be fun to mention.
Coming to a Mishmash Mayhem near you soon.
So anyway, today, what are we doing today?
So today we're going to do our usual business, as we usually do for business. We've got another two fictional characters for you today. I say another two, realistically, it's only another one, because we've still got our reigning champion, Ryu Hayabusa.
Hayabusa.
That one. Ryu
Yes.
surname to as the reigning champion. He earned his Mish last week against old WIR Wreck-It Ralph, unless I'm missing an episode and I've had a
No.
stroke.
No, that is
Cool.
correct.
Good.
At the Hoover Dam.
At the Hoover Dam, yeah. So he's moved on. He's got his Mish. Today he's going to try and earn his Mash. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to introduce the characters. We're going to start with the reigning champion, Ryu. We're going to go through his weapons, his armor, his abilities, his strengths, and all that happy majibberoo, lovely stuff. And then we're going to introduce your challenger for the day, for the evening, for however long they live in, or don't live. Wait, hang on. I know what I meant to say. For however long they stay present in our universe.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're going to roll the well, apparently we've discovered that we could trademark this. So I'm going to claim it's trademarked, and anyone who's a lawyer can email me about it at idon'tgiveashit.hotmail.com. The Dive Death.
The Dive Death.
Dive Death. To work out where these two are going to be having a little fight, or big fight, or medium fight. And then we're going to go into it and have a dig, have a dag, and see who we think is the winner through mutual beneficial discussion.
Yes, that is pretty much what we're going to do. A quick little side thing, because I'm really annoyed that we forgot to mention it last episode. But Ryu was actually a fan submission that we just completely forgot to acknowledge the fan. But yeah, so thanks, Tom, for suggesting Ryu.
Yep, indeed. Yeah. Speaking of Ryu, let's get into it. That was my
Ninja
transition noise, which we've never used before and may use again.
Okay.
So, old Ryu, depending on which one you is, he's a ninja, believe it or not. With a name like Ryu, you might have thought that he was a martial artist, but that is the wrong franchise. That is Street Fighter. There were probably other.
No Hadoukens here.
No Hadouken!
None of that.
Anyway, Ryu, he's a ninja. He is from the Ninja Gaiden series. He also features in some other game series, such as Dead or Alive, which is a kind of crossover universe fighting game. And I believe he's also appeared in some other random games as well, such as Halo 3. Although I say that, he's an unlockable armor set. Or Dynasty Warriors Online. And of course, the well-known... I swear he was in like some random golf game.
Yes, you told me last episode he was in a golf game.
Ah, yeah, Super Swing Golf Season 2 is an alternative character version as well. So, if you've ever played any of those games, especially Super Swing Golf Season 2, you may recognize this character. In the Ninja Gaiden series, he is a ninja of the Hayabusa clan. They're a very famous clan with extreme abilities and signature skills relative to their clan. It's kind of like how in Naruto, Sasuke Uchiha is the Uchiha clan. He is Ryu Hayabusa from the Hayabusa clan.
Yeah, the clans are named after their surnames.
Yeah, so it's like
much like businesses, or like businesses are named after families and stuff. Like you'd be from the Wade family, or like
yeah, but it's not like drug gangs. If you're in the drug gang, the motorcycle hippies, you don't intrinsically have all the abilities of the other motorcycle hippies.
No, that is true. Would really like to see the film now of the motorcycle hippies.
Motorcycle hippies, notorious.
I love the fact also motorcycles are sort of, very much against hippies being bad for the environment and loud and polluting them.
That's how they get away with it. No one suspects them.
Those guys can't be hippies. They're riding Harleys.
Oh dear. Anyway, so as part of the Hayabusa clan, he walks the path of the ninja. He has had rigorous even training throughout his childhood and his young adult life up until his present age, descended from a line of warriors known as the Dragon lineage, which sounds pretty badass, and it is pretty badass. Makes him really strong.
A little bit more combat.
A little bit more combat, yeah. He also owns an antique shop. because you've got to do something while you're not a ninja.
You've got to earn that money.
Exactly. How else are you going to afford your first katana? How else are you going to pay off the cops the first time you accidentally kill someone in self-defense? How else are you going to buy food? That's probably the most sensible one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But there you go. So anyway, as part of the Hayabusa clan, as I mentioned, he has inherent abilities. I'm not going to go through all of them, just like I did last week, but I'll give you a quick recap. So he's incredibly fast. He has extreme agility, being able to outrun and avoid gunfire, which is pretty mad.
Yeah.
Indeed, it says here as a good example of how fast he can go. He's able to successfully dodge and outrun surface-to-air missiles, which fly at Mach 3.6. So if we do a quick calculation, because doesn't love that. Mach, for all you listeners out there who don't know who that is, that's short for McCartney, but Mach 3.6, Mach is speed of sound. So speed of sound is 330 meters a second. So he can run at over 1 kilometer a second, because that makes sense.
That's stupid. That's crazy.
It's pretty stupid, yeah. You know what else is stupid? His strength. He's pretty stupid. For example, I've mentioned that he's fast. He has a 100-pound weapon called a Dabilaharo. Weighs 100 pounds. How fast do you reckon you can move a 100-pound object?
I'm not really sure. Give me what's like a 100-pound.
I have no fucking idea because I'm not American. Right, for those of you who understand 100 pounds, it's 100 pounds. And for those of you who don't, it's 45 kilograms.
But again, I mean, what sort of thing is 45 kilograms? Like,
well, I mean, I'm 60 kilograms.
Okay, so like a 10-year-old.
What? No. Imagine not a kid, like a teenager. I don't know. Weights are hard. I've been this. Whatever.
Well, that was why I said 10-year-old.
45 bags of sugar.
Well, I mean, lifting a case of 12 bags of sugar is pretty heavy.
Yeah. I mean, at work.
So what's that? Essentially 4 cases of sugar.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
I mean, that is upsettingly realistic to my work. Like, I can put that. And how fast can I move with that?
Fast enough to block bullets from automatic assault rifles.
Whilst holding that?
Yes.
No. Maybe a bullet.
Maybe a bullet.
If I'm lucky. Just because I've got... Yeah, that's it. That's it. Just because I've got 48 bags of sugar. I might be able to stop 1 or 2.
I reckon like 4... No. How many bags of sugar would stop a bullet? I don't know. Probably quite a lot. Or probably... I reckon
I'll probably be... I would probably be killed in a hail of automatic gunfire.
I mean, sandbags, right? Sand is just sugar, but for rocks.
Yeah, sure. All those pebbles are like, can I have 2 scoops of sand in my tea?
2 scoops of sand, please. They stop bullets fairly well, so I imagine 2 bags of sugar would probably do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, stamina. He's a pretty staminable man. That's a word. Totally. He has virtually never shown a sign of fatigue against great adversity. Is a good quote.
So he doesn't get tired.
He doesn't really get tired.
No. Ladies,
yeah. And in a similar kind of respect, we've got his durability and his regeneration. Durability being how kind of able he is to take impacts and wounds and etc. And he is able to take substantial injuries and be fine, such as magical fireballs, razor sharp winds, demonic beams, which everyone has a reference point for how painful one of those is, because we've all been hit by those in our time, right?
Wait, so he's resistant to magical fireballs?
Apparently he's able to withstand them. He's not resistant, just withstand them. Yeah. I
mean, for no reason whatsoever, that might come up.
I love it. And indeed, at one point in time, he's even been under lava and just walked through it and was, he was okay with it.
Wow.
Handily, due to part of his regeneration. And it says here, which is obviously some bullshit that he's more in tune with his spiritual side and therefore has developed an immensely higher than usual spiritual life force or health. And by manipulating it, he's able to regenerate from wounds that would otherwise be fatal. For example, he's been sliced through the jugular. That's your main artery in your neck that people often slice open and they go.
Yeah, that's the one that makes you like piss blood out with your neck and will kill you very quickly.
Yes, it's arguably the best or worst place to be stabbed,
depending on your
if you
intention. Yeah,
Well-
if you're the stabber or the stabbee.
If you know you're going to be killed, it's the best place to be stabbed. If you don't know you're going to be killed, it's the worst place to be stabbed.
I suppose so, yeah.
Yeah. Or, a stab through his heart, and other ridiculous things. Indeed, in the most extreme case, he's managed to hold his body together and come back to life after being dismembered from shoulder to hip by some dude named Doku.
Wow.
So, that's a bit about Ryu's physique and all that jazz. So we're going to knock into his techniques. Now, naturally, he's a ninja, so everyone knows that ninjas can run on water. Cool. Everyone knows that ninjas can double jump. Cool. Everyone knows that ninjas can run on walls. Cool. Everyone knows that ninjas can do something called the flying swallow, where he jumps forward into the air and propels himself at his opponent in a lightning fast slash, sometimes using his blink technique, I don't know what it is, to aid increase in speed. So, just like that kind of thing where they land on the wall and then they launch straight at you.
Yes. The thing that is sort of like theoretically possible in real life, but actually kind of not.
And then, of course, everyone knows that he has access to the Four Rings ability, where he just spins around and throws shuriken, which stops any enemies around him, apparently. So what does he use during these techniques, other than we've mentioned shuriken? He also has access to, and he's probably going to be, there's a lot of different weapons that he uses that are listed here, but realistically, he's going to be coming into combat with his signature weapon, the Dragon Sword, which is said to be created from the fang of now extinct dragon gods and contains their souls and their strength. Apparently, that when it's combined with the Eye of the Dragon, its true strength is revealed, and if they're kept together for long enough, it pretty much ruptures the universe, which is why the Eye of the Dragon and the Dragon Sword are never really together, because that would be bad.
It would.
But apparently the Dragon Sword is able to cut through almost anything, as made of dragon's tooth, which seems kind of like a good thing to have as a tooth. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to be, you're eating your meal and you're, bone again. And you're like, oh, that really fucking hurt. But as a dragon, you're just like, well, it's all like jelly to me, mate.
Cut through anything.
Cut through anything. And as we mentioned last week, that sword has been able to cut through things such as tanks and jet planes, just for an example of what it can cut through. And that is my brief recap. That was a bit less than brief, a bit more than brief, of Ryu's surname.
Cool. So I guess now it's time for me to bring the new character, the Challenger. I'm pretty excited about bringing this character. It's from one of my favorite game franchises, and I think he's definitely one of the fan favorite characters from that franchise.
All right.
What was the clue I gave? He's got, I can't even remember. He's got crazy anime hair, and he's a good bad guy. Yeah, he's a bad guy that turns good. He's got crazy anime hair, and he's relatively good fire mage. Those are the things I said for a clue last time.
Sure, I'll believe you.
Also, because I don't know if this is going to be out before or after the crossover we just did with parliamentary language, but there is a potential link between the character I suggested on that and the character I am now suggesting.
I see.
Yeah, exciting. So it is Axel from Kingdom Hearts.
I don't know who that is.
Well, he's got really cool anime hair.
Oh, I know who he is.
Yeah.
I Google him.
That's fair. That is fair. I'm going to try and briefly explain what Axel is about. Partly to not go into spoilers for Kingdom Hearts 3, because I'm aware that was only out this year. And people still may want to play it. I don't know. And you should. It's great. I'm going to specifically only count Axel as opposed to Lee, who are the same yet different characters. Because Axel is Lee's nobody. And a nobody is created when somebody is turned into a Heartless. If they have a particularly strong will, then it also creates a nobody, which is a person that looks like them, but is doesn't have a soul or a heart, as Kingdom Hearts would refer to it as. And therefore, they should be, in theory, incapable of having emotions. But this isn't always necessarily the case. As an interesting point from the director of Kingdom Hearts, where Kingdom Hearts is like a franchise that has a lot of Final Fantasy characters cameo in it, Axel was developed to look similar to Reno from Final Fantasy VII, and he also had the same voice actor in most countries' dubs of it and the Japanese original. And this was kind of a experiment to see how people would react to similar characters rather than just direct copies of them. So that's just an interesting side point. But let's get into Axel as he is. So in the original Organization 13, which was an organization of nobodies who were like the main antagonists of Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories and Kingdom Hearts 2, although they were the people you played as in 358 over 2 days. He was rank 8, and he had the title The Flurry of Dancing Flames due to his powerful fire magic. He is armed with twin chakrams, which he enhances with his fire magic. In real life, a chakram is like a small bladed disc, which is a thrown weapon. However, his are actually not that similar to those in real life. They're much larger spike discs, and they're similar to the real life weapon, the Chinese wind and fire wheels.
You know what's really interesting is literally not this weekend, I was watching a video about how realistic Breath of the Wild weapons are. And one of them, the guy was like, this is like a chakram. And then I learned what a chakram was. And now you've brought it up within 2 days of me learning what it was. That's really cool.
There you go. If you look at, as you were just saying, you were just going to Google Axel. If you look at what the weapons he's holding.
I did. They look like a chakram on a stick.
Yeah, they're much bigger. Apparently they are similar to a Chinese wind and fire wheel, although I don't know what that is. So, he also does lots of fire magic, as I've said. It's kind of his thing. So then, obviously, most people believe the Kingdom Hearts franchise to have a massive and ridiculous convoluted storyline. That isn't necessarily true. The storyline is fine if you've played all the games. The problem is most people just play Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and 3 as the numbered titles, and therefore don't play all of the many other games required to understand the story. Because Kingdom Hearts 3 is actually like the 7th game, I think, or maybe 8th, I can't remember.
So is it kind of like how I'm going to use Harry Potter as a really bad example.
Right.
No, Lord of the Rings is an example. You can understand a bit of story about Lord of the Rings if you read Lord of the Rings 1, 2, and 3. But to get like the full idea of the universe, you have to have also read the
Silmarillion.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Or more importantly, The Hobbit as like the prequel.
Oh yeah. Well, let's pretend that film never existed.
I mean, it was a book, really.
There were also 3 pretty bad films about it.
Yes. Well, kind of. I don't know. I'd argue very much. Like, I played Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 without playing the others, and I understood 1. And I understood 2 other than the first maybe 4 hours. Like, once you start getting into 2, you can understand what's happening within 2.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you had played Kingdom Hearts 3 but didn't know a lot of the extended stuff, you'd probably struggle to know what was going on. You could, and as many people have, because let's be honest, it really blew up at the beginning of this year. Loads of people have just enjoyed it because it's a good game, but most people playing it have been like, well, I have no idea what's happening. And because it's Kingdom Hearts, that's okay. Which is a shame, because if you do actually play all of the different games, it does have a very good story. They just didn't help themselves, because it was like the first game was PS2, and then they did a Game Boy Advance game, and then a DS game. So it's not only is it then on handheld, it's also not even on PlayStation anymore. And then Kingdom Hearts 2 was a PlayStation 2 game. And then they did, I can't remember what the next one was on, but then they did like a PSP one, then a PS Vita one. And then they've gone like, yeah. So the problem was they were just all over the place on different consoles, and it was really hard to follow.
Yeah, catering to different audiences.
Yeah, but it just meant it was really difficult. But where I've played all of the games except Digital Drop Distance, I understood about 90% of what was going on in Kingdom Hearts 3. So when all like the people who were like, this is the first Kingdom Hearts I've played, and damn, is it a good game that I don't understand? I was kind of like, but I do understand.
Yay! Hooray
Yay!
for you!
Exactly. This is kind of like the beginning, like up to Kingdom Hearts 3, maybe. From Axel's perspective, this is kind of a brief summary of what he does in the earlier games. So he works for the organization for the duration of Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, and 358 over 2 days. And in the latter game, he becomes friends with Roxas and Shion, and this shows his allegiance sort of shift away from the organization and more towards his own agenda of just being like a good friend to them, because he kind of teaches them the ropes when they join the organization, and he very much has like a big brother role to them. This is why when Roxas finds out that he is Sora's nobody, and that Sora is in a coma, and while he exists, Sora will remain in this coma. He therefore decides to return to Sora's heart so Sora can awaken and go on and start Kingdom Hearts 2. So Axel tries to stop him because he doesn't want to lose his friend, which, is reasonable. And he doesn't want Roxas to be exiled from the organization and become like an outlaw. But inevitably he fails, and Roxas manages to return to Sora so that Sora can wake up. This means that throughout Kingdom Hearts 2, Axel is, although pretending to do what the organization wants, he is mainly trying to get Sora turned into a Heartless so that Roxas can be released from his heart and he can have his friend back. Because that's a nice thing to do. He's essentially just doing all of this because he misses his friend.
Okay, yeah.
But he does, in the end, save Sora when there's this like really cool fight when you're in like an abyss of nowhere, and Axel comes to save you because you're being attacked by loads of nobodies, and then they end up working together. And the way he sort of saves you in this bit is he puts his entire essence into this like one uber fire attack, which kills all the nobodies but costs him his life. And he then has like a really long sort of sad monologue about why he saved you, and sort of explains that he's really sorry that he's been a dick for the whole game, that he just wanted to see his friend, and despite being a nobody that shouldn't be able to have emotions, like Roxas made him feel like he had a heart, and he therefore felt happy. And he sort of says because they're connected, Sora made him feel that way too, which is why he saved him. And then there's a point later on in the game where Sora and Roxas kind of have a battle within Sora's soul because they're kind of the same. And after that happens, Axel's spirit appears to Roxas, and they talk about their future and what their fate is, and it ends with Axel sort of fading into the darkness, and Axel gets to say like a final goodbye, which is really nice.
Talking about Bio-Rice?
But yeah, so that's kind of what he does. He's very, despite starting as a bad guy, once he has a friend, he's very driven by that. So that's kind of his motivation. But, that's interesting backstory. What you want to know about is his combat abilities.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so he can create pillars of fire out of the floor, which engulf his targets. His chakrams, by the way, are named the Eternal Flame, and he can surround his chakram in fire to make them more dangerous, or he can just attack with them as standard. And he does this with very rapid slashing combos. He can also throw them as a projectile, and if he does that, they magically return to him when he does this.
When you say magically return, do they boomerang back, or do they kind of instantaneously teleport back into his hand?
They boomerang back, so they can hit you on both ways. I mean, he does have one sort of special move where he'll do that in really quick succession, so he just sort of spam projectiles at you. Pretty annoying. He can also use his chakrams to shield himself from attacks. He can also throw a chakram, and then before recalling it to his hand, he can detonate an explosion of fire from it, essentially using it as a magic grenade. As I was sort of saying, where he can really quickly do the projectile combo with it, he can also, if he hits someone into the air, he can do quick throws to juggle people with successive chakram hits. So he sort of hold them in place in the air and do lots of damage. But that's pretty much all he does, really.
I believe there's a thing to be thinged.
Yes, it is time. We roll the die of death. Wow. I mean, this is going to be an intense, probably very short close combat fight.
Is it in a tent?
It is not. I'd say it's probably slightly bigger than a tent.
Slightly bigger than a tent. In my bedroom?
No, smaller than your bedroom.
In your bedroom?
No,
I don't know.
It's definitely smaller than a bedroom. I don't know. It might be smaller than a tent. It's a different size to a tent. Different shape to a tent, sorry.
A bathroom?
Yeah, probably about that size, just with less stuff in it and more moving.
In a hot air balloon?
No,
Oh, that should definitely be added to the list.
possibly.
Absolutely, it should. But suspend me no longer.
It's interesting you should say suspend, because we are in an elevator.
Oh, oh my god. There's not much room for maneuver here. Oh dear. Oh dear. Right, important question. Is the elevator going up or down? It's not that important a question, but
Well, I think it is. I think it's important to know what sort of building it's in and how often it's likely to stop.
I can see where you're getting at. But equally, if the fight is in the elevator, is it, if it stops, surely it's beyond the realm of them to leave the elevator. You know, they're bound to the elevator.
Yes, true. But I don't know. I wondered about the potential interaction of other people.
Oh yeah. But I mean, obviously they can't leave the elevator because otherwise it'd be essentially a fight in a hotel.
And I suppose other people wouldn't enter the elevator upon seeing this fight taking. Like if you opened the doors and there was a ninja and a guy in like a black robe wielding big spiky weapons shooting fire, like you wouldn't get in that elevator.
You absolutely would not get in that elevator.
So yeah, okay. I suppose it doesn't really matter too much.
Okay, but here, in a similar vein, is the elevator shaft in bounds? Like, because elevators have hatches, right, at the top. We've all seen it in the films. If they were to badumph the elevator hatch and get out, would the elevator shaft be legitimate grounds?
Yeah, I'm gonna allow the shaft. I think. Are you suggesting that there's something weird about saying allow the shaft?
Oh no! Oh dear! The last time I heard that was a good day. Oh dear. All right. Okay. I mean, obviously, I'm not suggesting that necessarily will happen, but it's, you know,
no.
but then set the bounds.
Yeah, and also again, I think we should determine how tall a building they're in case the wire for the elevator gets cut and it were to fall.
I mean, most elevators have pretty decent brakes in case of cable failure. They'll normally be, I'm pretty sure they're like electromagnetic.
All right, then, never mind.
Well, like, you know how those theme parks rides work, where they go up and then they fall.
Yeah. It's the same idea.
Yeah, so those break by having like magnets either side of a metal beam, and the magnets generate an electric current, which then kind of repels it, and the whole thing just slows the whole thing down.
Yeah.
If there's an error in the safety chain, a clamp closes on the pulley above the car, preventing the elevator from moving. That's one type of brake. On the opposite end of the cables that attach to the elevator car, there is a set of counterweights. These may more than an empty car and less than a fully loaded. It's kind of a interesting thing. All right, okay, they don't have the kind of braking systems that I thought they did, but whatever. I think the building is D20 stories high. 8.
Okay.
I don't know, it seems like an arbitrary number.
Yeah,
like,
no.
I mean, you don't get many super tall buildings in England.
No.
I think 8's a reasonable number for like a hotel as well, which was kind of my first thought, like a hotel elevator. So I guess Ryu's checking into this hotel elevator, and his room's on the 8th floor, and you know he's been busy. All his ninja in. He's a busy ninja, and he gets into the elevator, and the door's just closing, and he sees your Axel dude running towards the elevator, like stop, and he holds the door, and he gets in, and then the elevator doors close, and it starts going up to the 8th floor.
You know, there's that awkward sort of, you know, they'll nod at each other, like the elevator music's playing, like beep, 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 and then I'll be like, wait, it's you. Oh man, I have to kill you.
It's an awkward place, but needs must.
Right.
This is a really awkward place. I love it.
It is. Yeah, that's why it's on the list.
That's why it's on the list. Interesting to see how big the dragon sword blade is. I imagine it's quite big. Oh, it's not so big. But neither are lifts.
No. And to be fair, there's more room here than there is in the back of a taxi, which we did on a previous episode. So.
Yes. My guess would be there's enough. If he was like in the corner, he would be able to, or against the wall, he'd be able to use the sword quite happily against the other side of the lift. But
Yeah,
obviously, that's probably about the extent of its usefulness.
I mean, I think the instant reaction that Axel would have upon realizing that he's in the lift with the person he has to kill is he'd put himself like back to a corner and then essentially light the rest of the elevator on fire.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's not even like it's a big space. He could do it quite easily in a spell or two.
Yeah. I mean, it's not an elevator is not big.
No. It's not like he's trying to cover a whole battlefield as he would have previously. It would just be like fire.
How hot is his fire?
Fire.
Does it like fire? But is it like melting of metal hot, or is it just your kind of like generic fireball fire?
Yeah, I think it's just standard magic fireball fire.
Okay.
It's an orange flame, so it's not blue or white hot.
Yeah. I mean, orange is unfortunately one of the lowest hots.
Yeah.
Below smoking hot.
So,
I mean, above orange. Orange is hot, the smoking hot.
Yes.
Which is, I was making a joke about
sexiness.
hot people, yeah.
But yeah, so he'll be like, and the elevator will be on fire. But apparently, Ryu not that bothered about being on fire.
Yes, apparently, as we discovered today, by pure chance, he is quite resistant to magical fire, of which this is a magical fire.
It is. I'll be honest with you. When as much as I really like Axel and think he's cool, I didn't expect him to win this fight. And when you said that, I was like, well.
I mean, I think the elevator is going to do him some favors in the short term.
Yeah, I mean, like Ryu can't stealth away, and he can't just spam shurikens like he did against Ralph.
Yeah, but I mean, as we all know, fire is not very it's difficult to see through, right?
Yeah.
We all know that. We've all been faced with a 2-foot thick wall of fire and been like, "Oh, where the bloody hell's my car?
Where did I leave my keys?
Where did I leave my keys? I hope they're not through that fire. Where did I leave my fire? I hope it's not on the other side of that fire.
Where did I leave my fire extinguisher?
Made in Britain." Yeah, so Ryu's got pretty good, reflexes and that, so you can probably establish the area where the fire isn't.
Yeah.
But he probably isn't going to have a solid visual on old, what's its nugget? Axel. Throwing a shuriken is probably not going to do much because he can't see very well. Like, if he could see, he'd be all down on that. But as it is, it's just going to probably clamp into the side of the elevator to make a satisfying clink. So instead, he'd probably have out a kunai, like a little dagger, and get into close combat. I think that's probably the best bet because he could use the dragon sword and swing wildly, but he doesn't know who Axel is. He doesn't know anything about him really, other than he's walked into an elevator and he's set it on fire. So, he could be in a disadvantage if he can't see, whereas Axel, would see him coming. So I think he'd go for a close range, possibly doing the flying swallow. That was the thing we discussed earlier, but probably not. Probably just
remind me.
The one where you launch yourself at them, ninja style, off the wall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's probably not going to do that. He'd probably run, maybe not necessarily directly. So if I'm imagining kind of Axel in corner 1 and Ryu in corner 3, so opposite corners.
Yeah.
So he'd probably do like a round the corner, like in with a kunai to go for a bit of close combat, I think.
Sure. I mean, I feel like Axel would not be expecting this because he'd very much be like, oh, that guy's on fire. I have no reason to believe he's not being hurt by that fire.
Is he used to his fire killing people or doing lots instantly? Because obviously from the world he's in, people are probably also fairly resistant to these kind of things in the degree that normal humans aren't.
Yeah, he wouldn't necessarily expect it to kill instantly, but he wouldn't expect somebody to run through the fire at him. It would hurt somebody.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
They would have to go round it.
That's fair comment.
So I guess in this instance, he might expect it to be somewhat more lethal than usual because there's literally nowhere else for them to go.
Yeah, okay.
So I imagine Ryu can probably get in a free hit with kunai because Axel just wouldn't be expecting it. So I don't think he'd necessarily
Alright,
be
cool.
like
So-
ready to block it. Is what I'm getting at.
Okay. Does he have to have any kind of armor poise while
No.
he's controlling this fire?
I think what
okay,
because now
fine. Just
he's very
wanted to
much
know.
he has cast the spell. The spell is done.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, I don't think Ryu's gonna be able to have a chance to aim for any particular vital points because, as we mentioned, he hasn't had the visibility. He's only had going. Oh, I noticed some guy in that corner. Let's go at him. So he's probably just going to come in with the kunai and go for like a slash as he gets close, or a stab. Probably a slash, and would probably just get the arm of Axel.
Sure. Just with a kunai.
Yeah. So there's nothing to. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I wouldn't want to get slashed with a kunai in an elevator that's on fire, but it's not going to be the end of the world.
Okay. So yeah, he'd probably be caught off guard and slashed. Would there be any follow up for that?
Well, he comes from another universe of quite powerful fighters, right? I feel that he's. I mean, I don't know much about the character. So
he's probably,
but
sort of in. Yeah, I mean, there is like lots of very powerful magical people. He's probably a higher up in the mid-tier range of power. So I mean, like compared to a normal person, he'd be absolutely devastating. But compared to like sort of main characters or end bosses or whatever, he's relatively nothing.
All right. I mean, I'm kind of imagining that he'd probably be good enough to, he's been catch some movement out of the corner of his eye, but gets the unexpected slash, but then has time to compose himself a little bit and probably start defending.
Yeah.
With however he's going to choose to defend himself.
If Ryu's got out that close, somewhat showing off, I guess, at least his ability to travel through fire, even if Axel is unaware of how little it hurts him. So he'd then fight back using his chakram.
Yeah, okay.
So then I would say that Axel's sort of, at least in close combat, his main thing going for him is his speed over his strength. But then Ryu can travel at 1 kilometer a second. So the fuck is that going to do for him?
Help him survive for some time.
Yeah, he's like, wow, you're going to live for minutes as opposed to seconds. Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen to you when you walk into an elevator.
No, that's true.
All right, so he manages to bring his chakram up, and
yeah. So I imagine the one, if you say Ryu slashed at his right arm, so Axel would then swing the chakram in his left arm towards Ryu, whilst like recovering his right arm.
Yeah. So I think that this is gonna get into a bit of a, those kind of things where in anime fights it goes into the like pting, 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 and then they zoom out and zoom back in, pting, pting, pting.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's going to be that.
You see, I don't think it will, because I don't think Axel is fast enough for that.
But I think that he's going to go for a slash, right, and Ryu's going to defend. But Ryu's he's only holding one weapon, whereas Axel has got two. Now, don't get me wrong, I know that we both have established that Ryu is probably much faster than Axel is.
Yes.
But I do feel, at least for a bit, even if it's only for like a couple of strikes, while Ryu's having to evaluate, for lack of a better word, Axel, that he is going to be on the defensive.
Sure, okay. So Axel's going to get like a few hits in, and Ryu is very much going to close to effortlessly block them and use this time to assess how his opponent fights.
Yeah. And I think what he might go for is, so these chakrams, they're rings, right?
Yeah.
So I reckon he, after like deflecting of one, and then a second, and a third, and a fourth strike or whatever, would then, because he's pretty fast. Oh, is the inside of the chakram sharp?
No, I don't believe so. There's like a cross that he holds onto in the middle, and all the spikes on the outside.
Yeah, that's it's hard to tell. It might be tapered on the inside, but it probably isn't sharp.
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
All right.
Because that's where he's holding it.
So there's a bit different to how I imagined it, to be honest. But I mean, it looks pretty cool, doesn't it? But there's enough room to get an arm through there, right?
Yeah.
So I reckon, because Ryu's got super fast reflexes and he's probably a bit of a ninja show off.
Mm-hmm.
And what's better than a man armed with 2 chakram?
Man armed with no chakram.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say one chakram first, but no chakram.
Well, yeah.
Works too. So I reckon that he would, take a couple of defensive parries, if it were, pa-ching, 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 pa-ching. And then as another strike comes through, like slot his arm through that gap, probably coming. I'm trying to think how he would probably so it goes through the side where Axel's arm isn't, and punches his arm away. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it goes through, punches his arm away, which is probably going to be surprising enough for Axel to let go of that chakram, which would then slide down Ryu's arm. And it's now like, this is my chakram, bitch. Except he probably.
I imagine he'd like dramatically fling it like into the opposite wall of the elevator.
Oh yeah, yeah. So he like punches it off and like quickly goes and like lobs it across into the elevator.
Well, that's leading.
So yeah, he's probably going to get one of them. I don't know if he'll get the second one because I don't think Axel would like swing with both at the same time.
No, he wouldn't. It'd be alternate.
Yeah, exactly. They'd be alternate. So I don't think he's going to get rid of the second one now.
No. I imagine at this point Axel would do like the typical "I'm angry" anime scream, and his remaining chakram would catch fire.
I mean, yeah, that happens to all of us when we're angry.
Right.
I mean, I'm angry right now. My hairbrush, that's on fire. For the record, I'm not actually angry. Nor is my hairbrush on fire.
I mean, I'm not actually angry. My hairbrush is on fire.
My hairbrush is on fire, yeah. Small issue, but, well, podcast first.
Yeah, the show must go on.
The show must go on. If you hear screams in the background, terrible, terrible screams, probably don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's just my victims.
What? No.
What?
It's
fine. I'll edit them out. Anyway, so Axel's chakram's on fire. I mean, essentially, he's still going to have to, while Ryu's this close, he's still going to have to use that. But he'll maybe potentially go at him a bit more cautiously now.
How do you cautiously attack someone with a chakram?
I don't know.
But he's going to do it.
I mean, it would probably still be the same attacks, but he'd be more ready for him to try and deflect it. Yeah. Or try and disarm him, I guess is.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. I think so. Now it's down to 1 versus 1. Ryu's speed match is going to be even better in his advantage.
Yeah.
So even while Axel comes at him with a slash, I don't think there's any need for Ryu to go for a first defensive because he knows that even if he does get hit, pretty much anyway, he's going to be able to take that. It's only a blade on fire at the end of the day. Yeah, I know, right? So he's probably going to go for a kind of feinting attack. And what I mean by that is he might go for like a blow with one hand, but then really near before the blow strikes, quickly transfer the kunai from one hand to the other or unsheath one from his other hand. He probably has them sheathed everywhere. He's a ninja. And then go for it with the unsuspecting hand. You know what I mean?
I imagine actually what he'd do is Axel would swing at him. He'd just use his quick reflexes to like duck out the way and just stab Axel in the side or the back.
I mean, yeah, that is probably more likely. I was trying to be cool.
Ninja dodge.
Yeah. Yeah, a ducking kind of bobbin. What is it called? Like when you do the
bob and weave.
Yeah, bob and weave. Bob and weave, boys. Bob and weave. Bit of a bob and weave, and goes for a thrust into the because he was originally at Axel's side. Axel probably would have turned, so he's going to be at the side again. So a thrust is probably a good shout.
Yeah, so like stick a kunai in his ribs.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine this will stagger Axel somewhat.
How long does the fire persist? His fire from earlier?
I don't know. I mean, most of his spells in the game, because their sort of game mechanics probably only last a few seconds. So I think it's probably fair to say it's dissipated by now.
Okay. Because I'm thinking Ryu would probably go for it to try to take advantage of this stagger by then leaping back to the other side of the elevator and drawing out the Dragon Blade to come in with a blow where he's got a better range for that kind of weapon.
Yes, probably. So yeah, he'd sort of jump back, pull out his sword, go in for the attack, Axel would try and block it with his chakram, chakram gets cut in half because the sword cuts through everything, right?
I mean, yeah, it's pretty badass. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think he needs to apply more strength to get through harder things. Like the same way that if you hold a steak knife, you can cut through a steak, but you still need to actually put effort in. You know what I mean? But I feel that the effort that Ryu's going to be able to put in with a regular swing would be able to cut through a thin-ish ring like that.
Metal. Yeah.
There's not a substantial amount of bulk like that.
So at this point, I imagine Axel's going to be pretty terrified.
Yeah. He's going to be like, I wish I was soulless now.
I don't know, because he doesn't really have his weapon to make an attack with, because he doesn't have the right slash on it anymore.
Yeah.
So he'd probably just like shoot a fireball at Ryu, or maybe like create a fire pillar underneath him or something. He'd do some sort of fire spell, because it's better than using a broken weapon.
You're not wrong. Fire spells are better than using a broken weapon.
But I feel like Ryu would be somewhat not bothered by that too much. Maybe mildly.
Yeah.
And would then probably just cut Axel to ribbons.
Yeah, unfazed neck level sweep.
I mean, I don't think he's going to be like entirely unfazed, because he's resistant to fire. I don't think he's
That's
necessarily
That's
immune. He's going to be like, damn, that's hot. And then like, and then Axel's going to die.
Yeah. Okay, so unfazed might be the wrong word, but
unimpeded.
Yeah, unimpeded. Arm goes back, sweep at neck level, because it seems like the ninja thing to do. And cut that. Fiery boys, fiery hair, and whatever the hair's attached to. What's hair attached to again? I can't remember.
Your head? Head.
Oh,
head.
yeah, that one. And what's that attached to?
Neck.
Well, not anymore, it ain't.
Oh.
Shit,
son.
Wah.
Yeah, and then it just sort of dissipate into nothing, because that's how nobody's to go.
Oh, well, that's really sad.
No sort of dramatic spray of blood here. It'll just fade into darkness.
And then the elevator would rattle and get locked, because the side of it's probably just been gashed open a little bit.
No, it wouldn't. It would just be like, bing, with floor 8, and then get off and go to his room.
Yeah, and there's just an elevator with a broken chakran, and a pile of ash. I don't know if they turn to ash.
No.
Cemented in the other side of the door,
and then like burn marks all over the elevator.
Yeah, and the next person gets in and is like, "What the hell?" Well, I don't know why they'd get in, but they might. Oh man, think of all of Ryu's luggage.
Ninja luggage.
Yeah,
I imagine he travels like.
Yeah, he probably does. But I mean, he was checking into a hotel. His bikini is gone.
No, I think the bellhop would bring that up.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank God for that. Thank God that he can afford the finer things in life after owning an antique shop for many a year.
I mean, some antiques go for a lot of money.
That's very true. That's why he can afford the hotels of the bellboys.
Yeah. But yeah, so, I mean, I'm not surprised, but I'm a bit upset that Axel got defeated.
Yeah, he seemed like a cool character. I feel he would have had some far fairer fights against some other people, but as the unfortunate way of cool, not balanced people. But hey, this is our podcast and we do what we like.
Well, yeah. And what we like is fan submissions, so,
What we like is fan submission. Wait, did I say fan submission? I meant fan submission.
Yeah, we want to put our fans into submission. Yeah. So, Ryu's got his missions mash.
He does, and it's very warm after being in the fire. It's a perfect temperature for mash.
It is. He's probably going to have mash for dinner.
I mean,
it
seems like a bit of a waste at a hotel, but yeah, sure.
Does it? Well, I mean, they'll probably do some fancy mash. Surely it depends on what the mash is made with. What if it's quail and mash?
Quail egg mash?
No, quail and mash.
Oh. Yeah, I mean,
because quail meat is quite nice.
I've never had quail.
Yeah, as is tradition. I will now give you a clue for the next character. This is a character who has had to take place in and has managed to survive 2 different publicly displayed fights to the death. But also that means they might do well in this podcast, having a history of surviving fights to the death.
Maybe. Only time will tell.
But yeah, I mean, interestingly, he is Yeah, he's won 2 fights to the death. He was he survived 2 fights to the death, and he won the 65th fight to the death.
Wait, as in he had 65, or that was
No,
the 65th
it was
publicized one?
It was the 65th one displayed publicly, and he won it. He has survived another one since then, but didn't necessarily win. He just survived it.
Okay.
Okay, I think that's a reasonable clue.
I believe so. Clue 2.
Oh, thank you for listening. If you want to suggest any characters you would like to see take place in the fights, then you can do so over on Twitter at podcastmmm, or you can email us at podcastmmm@gmail.com. Those are the places to do it. Similarly, if you want to suggest a place for a fight to take place, maybe you thought an elevator was a ridiculous idea, or maybe you've got your own idea for a tiny little arena for people to be stuck in. Feel free to suggest those at the same place too.
In the coffin of the previous loser.
Oh man, that would be hardcore. That'd be so metal.
So metal.
Or if you just want to have a chat, if you just want to maybe ask us a question about how we're doing the podcast, or just give your own opinions on how you thought the fight should have gone or did go, feel free to also do that. We like to hear from people.
It's true. We have ears for that reason.
That's it. We only have ears. Ears? We only have ears for his. We've been part of TTSS Productions over on TinkerTailorSoldierSpanish.com. Like at the beginning, we've recently done a crossover with Unparliamentary Language. That will be out, like I say, certainly within the next 2 weeks, if not sooner. So check out their channel look for that, or just if you want to know about what's going on in politics at the moment, also have a look at it for that. I think that's all we've got to say. Any final thoughts?
I appear to be watching a video of someone make coasters out of coloured clay.
Is it good?
No, but I'm watching it anyway because this is what life has turned into.
Oh dear.
Oh, they made a little plant pot. It's shit.
Alright, well on that note, bye!
Catch your legs. I don't cut this.